an assignment you have to do called the Parched Crow. We are going to read it, look at the answers, see what the correct answers should be. Anytime you do an assignment that has ABCD questions, I kind of say that the crazy man on the mountain made those questions and that they're trying to trick you. It will have a dumb answer. It will have an answer that most people are going to pick, but it's wrong. And they're going to have an answer that is a trick. So don't get stuck by those. And because so many people did not very well on this, I wanted to go over it and then give you a chance to do it again. So I'm going to read the story to you. It's called The Parched Crow. One day, an exceedingly thirsty crow located a jug with a smidgen of water in the bottom of it. How lucky I am, thought Crow. Now I can have a drink of refreshing water. She tilted her head and put her beak into the jug. But the water was so shallow in the jug that the crow's beak could not reach it. So Crow stretched her neck and bent over a little farther. She stretched her neck and flapped her wings to no avail. I skipped a line. She still could not reach the water. She agonized over how to reach the precious water. Her only hope was to stretch even farther. She stretched her neck and flapped her wings to no avail. She still could not get a single minute drop of water to quench her thirst. Then Crow decided to try to make the jug lie on its side. This will make the water run out of the jug. Then I will be able to drink, she thought. She pushed at the jug with all her strength. No matter how hard she tugged and pushed, the jug would not tip over. The water remained lodged at the bottom of the jug, just out of reach. I may as well give up, Crow thought. She was excessively thirsty and exhausted from trying to knock the jug onto its side. Her energy was spent, while her thirst continued to occupy her every thought. She would have flown away to look for water right then if she had the energy. Instead, she paced around and around the jug as if it had some sort of magical force field holding her captive. Suddenly, she had an idea. Crow scratched in the dirt until she unearthed a pebble. She deposited the pebble into the jug. Her hopes were on the rise. She could see that the pebble made the water rise a little higher. So she scratched for another pebble and another and another. She dropped every single pebble she could locate into the jug. As each pebble plummeted to the bottom, the water rose a little bit higher. After agonizing effort, the jug held many pebbles. The water had neared the top of the jug. Caw, caw, said the crow. I did it. The water rose to the top of the jug. Crow took a much-needed drink of refreshing water from the jug. I could have flown away without getting a drink, she thought. I am so glad I found a way to make the water come to me. Crow thought she wasn't strong enough to get to the water. However, she learned that strength doesn't always matter. Sometimes the only thing you need to depend on is good thinking and creative problem solving. Where there is a will, there is a way. Crow flapped her wings and flew away. She wasn't thirsty any longer. Now, the questions are, which sentence from the story contains ideas about the theme? Well, first of all, what does theme mean? What does theme mean? Sort of like the topic, it's like the lesson or the main idea. In fiction stories, we call it theme. And it's usually the message that the author wants to give you, the moral. In nonfiction books, we call it main idea. Theme is kind of the same thing. So, which sentence from the story contains ideas about the theme? Crow took a much needed drink of refreshing water from the jug. That's a detail. And just like main idea, theme is not going to be a detail. So this is not correct. Where there is a will, there is a way. Well, that sounds like a maybe. Crow thought she wasn't strong enough to get the water. I think that, again, is a detail. Right here, Crow thought she wasn't strong enough to get the water. She wasn't thirsty any longer. That's a detail. She wasn't thirsty any longer, but that's not the lesson. The lesson is this. Where there's a will, there's a way. That's the lesson or the theme the author's trying to tell you. Next question. Which words can the reader conclude best describe Crow's character in paragraph 5? Well, there's a couple of things going on here. Number one, it says words, which means more than one. Conclude means figure out, and it tells me where to look. It wants me to look in only paragraph 5. Well, what's the first thing I gotta do? Go back to paragraph 5 and look and see what it's asking me. This story does not have indentation marks on it, and so it's a little harder to determine where the paragraphs are. Most paragraphs start with a scoochie mark or an indentation. I like to call it the scoochie mark just because I think it's funny. This doesn't have it. All the lines are the same. This is the first paragraph because there's a line in between. This one's the second, this one's the third, and this one's the fourth, this one's the fifth. The question wants to know about Crow's character just from right here, not from anywhere else in the story. Now, the question's asking you to be a detective. It's not really just asking you if you remember anything about Crow. It's asking you if you can be a detective. So you're going to miss it if you don't go and be the detective. Now, in the last class, I kind of discovered that this has a mistake in it. And that may be why a few of you are getting this incorrect. The writer of the question thinks, I'm going to cover it up. It says, which words can the reader conclude best describe Crow's character in paragraph 5? Is she a complainer? I may as well give up, Crow thought. She was excessively thirsty and exhausted from trying to knock the jug onto its side. Her energy was spent while her thirst continued to occupy her every thought. She would have flown away to look for water right then if she had the energy. Instead, she paced around and around the jug as if it had some sort of magical force field holding her captive. Suddenly, she had an idea. Is she complaining? No. Is she determined? Yes, because she's not giving up. She's not flying away and giving up. So yes, she's determined. Is she lazy? She's not lazy. Lazy would have just left and given up trying or laid down and taken a nap. So not lazy. Inventive. Yes, but is she being inventive right here? No. Now, the person who wrote the question is counting it wrong if you don't choose inventive. I didn't write the question. The person who wrote the question wants you to choose inventive. But I think that's wrong because it asked me about paragraph 5. And in paragraph 5, she didn't do anything but walk around the jug. She's thinking, but she's not doing anything yet. So part of the correct answer is inventive. Even though I kind of disagree because she's not really doing anything inventive. When she put the pebble in, that was inventive. That's not making something. Well, an inventor is making something new. Being inventive is being creative to solve a problem. She was using pebbles in a way that pebbles weren't meant to be used. So that is sort of inventing something new. Guys, so stubborn. Is she being stubborn? Don't stubborn people never quit? Yes. No, sometimes we think about stubborn, we think that's kind of like a bad thing. And she's not being bad, but yes, she's being stubborn. So, no, I don't even know what that's asking. She is being stubborn. She's not giving up. Oh, goody. She's not giving up. So, yes, she's being stubborn, but not in a bad way. Stubborn, inventive, and determined. Is she being a quitter? No. She's definitely not a complainer, definitely not lazy, and not a quitter. So those are the correct answers. Inventive, I don't agree with, but that's what it's going to count it right. Which two words are synonyms of smidgen as used in paragraph 1? Well, the first thing I have to do is go back to paragraph 1. What is a synonym? What's a synonym? Words that mean the same. Paragraph 1, it says, one day an exceedingly thirsty crow located a jug with a smidgen of water in the bottom of it. How lucky I am, thought Crow. Now I can have a drink of refreshing water. We're looking for words that mean the same as smidgen. Heap. Does it sound like there's a heap of water in that jug? Heap is a big word. So no, heap is wrong. Does it sound like there's a pile? No. Pile's a big word. So no, there's not a pile of water. So my last two words, and it tells me I have to choose two, are taste, a taste of water. Does that sound about like how much water's in the jug? Yeah. Just a taste, just a swallow. Okay. How about a trace? Trace of water. Now, even if you don't know what that word means, because like I can trace a picture. If I put white paper on this, I can trace that, right? That's not what they're asking. That's not how they're using the word here. It told me to pick two. I know that heap is wrong and I know that pile is wrong. Even if I don't know what that means, I can still pick it because I know that's wrong and I know that's wrong. So sometimes when you do these crazy man questions, you pick the one that's not wrong, if that makes any sense. So I know that this, a trace, it means just a little bit. Just a trace. Like there's no trace of the sun out there. I don't see the sun. Not even a little sliver. It's gray. There's no trace of the sun, not even a little bit. The word trace here means a little bit. So your answer is taste and trace for synonyms. Number 4, what can the reader conclude? Conclude means figure out. About the crow in the passage. What can we figure out about the crow? She gives up trying to get water. Did she give up? No, didn't give up ever. She learned strength isn't everything. Maybe. She feels like a failure. No, she thought she was great. She won't attempt anything again. Does that make sense? No, she just worked really hard and succeeded. Why would she quit now? So, even if I didn't think C was the right answer, A and B and D are wrong, and I have to pick one. She learned strength isn't everything. It actually said that in the story. So that's what we can conclude about the crow. That's what we can figure out. What paragraph or what phrase best describes the climax of the passage. Climax is something we haven't talked a lot about yet. Climax is that part of the story where everything changes. It's where the problem kind of blows up and everything changes, and then it starts to suddenly get better and the problem gets fixed. So we have to pick the sentence that tells when everything changed in the story. She would have flown away to look for water right then if she had the energy. That's not a changing or a turning point in our story. Suddenly she had an idea. That's a maybe. Because once she has an idea, then she did something about it and she ended up getting her drink of water. I did it. The water rose to the top of the jug. That's not the climax. That's the resolution. That's the end. That's when she solved her problem. So it's not that one. We want the climax, the turning point of the story. She dropped every single pebble she could locate into the jug. That's not the turning point. That's when she's solving her problem. A story's like this. Climax is here. It's where everything changes. And this is where the problem starts to become solved. So the climax is suddenly she had an idea here. Then she put pebbles in and more and more and more. Oh, I got a drink. And her problem is solved at the end. Now, there's only 2 more questions. She still could not get a single minute drop of water to quench her thirst. Most of you probably read this as she still could not get a single minute drop. That word can be pronounced 2 ways, minute or minute, but you probably didn't know that. You can still answer the question. Which 2 words are antonyms? What's an antonym mean? Opposites. So I need to choose 2, and they have to be opposites of this word, minute. A single minute drop. Opposite. Is miniature an opposite of a single drop? Is tiny an opposite of a single drop? Is large opposite? Yes. Is big opposite? Yes. Now, last question. The water remained lodged at the bottom of the jug, just out of reach. Which definition of the word lodged is being used in the story? There's 4. 3 of them are wrong. To give someone something so valuable they can keep it safe? No. To present a complaint formally to the proper authorities? No. Right. To live somewhere temporarily, usually paying rent, to live in someone else's house? No. That means C has to be the right answer. The water was firmly fixed in the bottom of the jug and he couldn't get to it. I want you to do this over again